because I did not know how I was standing up.
And when did Roelio come into Genesis's life?
Well, he was in her life the day she was born. And then they weren't very close until she was able to make the decision without crying to go over there. She was just very attached to us.
2021 CR 1425, State of Texas versus Roelio Espinosa. Can I have parties announced for the record again, please, for the state?
Michelle Hayden for the state.
For the defense?
Kurt May and John Gibson, who is present. John Gilmore, I'm sorry. It's been a long day.
All right, and we have a different interpreter with us today. If you could raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear affirm you will faithfully translate from English into Spanish and Spanish into English, so help you God?
I do, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You can lower your hand if you could state your name for the record.
Cesar Chavez, Your Honor.
Thank you. This morning, the court let the defense know that the court would accept its proffer. The state had no objection to the proffer. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. So both parties then have had a chance to review the PSI report. Is that correct, State Defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. We do have just 3 items. There is a reference in the first part of the PSR that indicates that Mr. Espinosa has criminal history. He has none, and that is corrected at the end of it. But just so the court is aware, there's no evidence of prior criminal record. There is a reference that the victim in this case is a granddaughter, when in fact it is a step-granddaughter. There's no biological connection.
Okay.
And the third one is there's a reference to a grandmother causing abuse to the victim. I think that's just a misstatement. There's no, I don't want a grandmother being impugned in this case.
All right, thank you so much. And the court will take note of that. All right, so according to the plea bargain agreement, which the court previously stated, the state is opposing the application, and the punishment is to be assessed at a cap of 12 years if the court decides not to grant the application for deferred adjudication. State, do you have witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor. We just have one brief witness.
All right, then State, if you'll call your witness.
State calls Melody Morales.
All right, and I'm sorry, could you all move over to that side? Thank you. All right, you come forward, please. Who's the witness? All right, if you'll come forward. Could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give? Who has a phone? Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, that's no problem. Could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, if you can lower your hand and state your name for the record, please.
My name is Melody Ann Morales.
All right.
Could you please stand a little bit closer? And could you spell your last name?
Mireles.
Just move in this direction. Yes. Okay. Yes. All right. State.
Good afternoon, Ms. Morales. You understand that we're here for sentencing, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And that the judge has all the evidence in the case already?
Yes, ma'am.
So I just want to ask you briefly some questions about how this has affected you and your family.
Yes, ma'am.
So who is Genesis to you?
She's my daughter.
And do you remember when you first learned out that Genesis had been molested by her step-grandfather, Roelio Espinosa?
Yes.
And how old was Genesis?
She was about to be 14.
And what was that like, finding that information out for you?
It was very stressful because it was late. It was probably around 11 o'clock at night. And she was just off and she was crying for no reason, just in a panic. And I couldn't figure out what was wrong with her, and she wouldn't tell me. And finally she said that Roy had been touching her and abusing her. And she told me and my mother a lot of the things that he did, not everything, but a lot of the things that he did to her. And so I immediately called SAPD because I didn't know what to do, because I wanted to get CPS involved. And so they came out, then after they came out, then CPS came the next day.
Okay. And what was that like for you, finding out that
it was like unbelievable. You know, there's that footprints scripture about when I was walking alone, I felt like the Lord was actually carrying me because I did not know how I was standing up.
And when did Rogelio come into Genesis's life?
Well, he was in her life the day she was born. And then they weren't very close until she was able to make the decision without crying to go over there. She was just very attached to us. But once she started going over there, it became like that every other weekend kind of thing. So she was probably around 3 or 4.
And I understand he's her step-grandfather, is that correct?
Correct.
But did you know them to have a typical, well, until this information came out, grandfather-granddaughter relationship?
Yes, he appeared to be very giving, caring for her, always wanting to shower her with gifts, and was always a really nice guy.
And at the time, did you think that was normal?
Of course, you think that, okay, she comes home from going to her dad's house with a gift from her grandfather. Come to find out later that he was taking her alone to the flea market to get those gifts. And then that kind of made me feel uncomfortable, but I didn't think anything of it, because it just was a normal kind of thing that you shouldn't worry about it. I think I was just being overprotective at that time. That's what I thought.
And what did you think once you found out he had been molesting her?
I felt guilty.
What did you think about the gifts and the cash that he'd given her at that point?
It all made sense.
How has this affected you, learning what happened to Genesis?
I've had to seek counseling, increase my psychiatric medications that I take for depression. I don't trust people. I don't trust men. And it's just created a rift between the relationship with me and her dad. Among other things, but this was the thing that made that happen mostly. We don't talk, so that relationship's not good. Genesis, just seeing my daughter struggle is just very difficult.
How has this affected her?
Oh, she's been in and out of therapy. She's on psychiatric medications. She's gained weight. She's been in the hospital for thoughts of suicide. Her schoolwork has diminished. She was an honor roll student up until this abuse started happening. But I didn't know that it was happening. I just knew something was off.
Does it continue to affect her today?
It does. She still sees a psychiatrist quarterly, and we go for counseling now. It's bi-weekly, but for the past 2 years, it's been pretty much a weekly therapy kind of thing.
Do you feel like this is something that Genesis will ever fully recover from?
I don't think so. I mean, we strive to do that. She's very strong, though. She's resilient. I mean, she put up with all that abuse for all those years and kept it quiet. So she's a fighter and she's a survivor. So I believe she will get through it, but I don't know if she's ever going to get over everything.
Has this affected your family in general?
Yes, ma'am, it has.
And in what ways?
We tread lightly around Genesis, even with her behaviors of self-isolation. We just kind of let that go because we're afraid to disrupt her. We're afraid she's had very many outbursts, emotional outbursts when things don't go her way. And, it's kind of like, I feel like she's a little stifled because we don't let her expand her wings sometimes as much as she wants to, because again, I don't trust people.
And is Genesis here today?
She is.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 1. Do you recognize that?
Yes, ma'am.
What grade was Genesis in?
Genesis was probably about second or third grade on that one.
And is it correct that the abuse started about when she was in 4th grade?
Right. So this was taken shortly before that.
And that's a fair and accurate depiction of her?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I would just offer State's Exhibit 1 into evidence. It's a picture of Genesis when she was the age when the abuse started.
No objection.
All right, State's Exhibit number 1 being admitted into evidence. All right, any further questions?
We will pass the witness at this time.
Defense?
No cross, Your Honor.
All right, thank you for coming in to testify. And Ms. Haynes, if you could give that to the court reporter, please. All right, any more witnesses, State?
No, Your Honor, just victim impact.
All right, defense?
Yes, Your Honor. I would just note the factual inconsistency in the various versions of the victim's narrative. I would just note that.
Well, first, I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. May. First, do you have any witnesses?
Oh, no witnesses.
Okay, then the court will hear argument. The State will go first, then the defense, and then the State final. Okay.
I'll just reserve, Your Honor.
All right. You may.
The inconsistencies really are factually important. 14 years ago, Roelio had prostate surgery. Since that time, it would not be possible for him to have an erection or ejaculation. That is a fact. Every narrative that we looked at had that as the focal point. What we found in the investigation of this case was that there was inappropriate touching. That's what he pled guilty to. That's why you see the original charge and then the plea that he pled to. This does not settle the issue of the extent of abuse in this particular victim's life. There very well could be another perpetrator involved. I am not here to prove that. I'm just here to tell the court that there's some factual inconsistency that shows the nature of the touching, although inappropriate, does not rise to the level of the original victim statement. I would just note, and most significantly, the punishments that have been imposed in this case. For a man of 70 years old and no prior record, he now has a felony conviction. More importantly, maybe to him and his family, he's subject to deportation. He has permanent resident alien status. So with a conviction and a sentence, he will be subject to a deportation. He has been in this country for over 50 years. And finally, there's been complete upheaval in his family. That being said, he still enjoys a tremendous amount of family support. So in the courtroom today, we have with us, I need my cheers.
That's okay.
We have his wife, Lorena, or Leonora Espinosa, his daughter, Ophelia Saunders, granddaughter, Cynthia Balderas, son-in-law, Joshua Saunders, I believe maybe sitting outside with an underage family member, who is Gabriel Saunders, who came to support him, his grandson, Roger Flores, and a son-in-law, Eric Lira. This is very significant because what it means is on a deferred adjudication, he has multitudes of support, knowing that there's another side to the story. It doesn't diminish what happened to the victim in this case. In fact, frankly, I think the entire family wants the victim in this case to get help and to have her life not ruined. There's community service that's referenced in page 9 of the PSR that talk about the deferred adjudication conditions. These appear very appropriate. The separation from the victim and the victim's father has already occurred. There, again, is no prior record, so there's no record to indicate a recidivism. The third factor here is there are serious reoccurring conditions of the prostate cancer, which we referenced and we proffered previously in this court. And there's renal gland failure that's in his history, and it's not going to go away. It's going to require additional treatment. Ongoing treatment needs are going to be better served in the community rather than in prison. It will be a literal nightmare trying to get meaningful or significant treatment in a state jail facility. We've already mentioned the family support. And as reflected in the PSR, Roelio is motivated to continue his full-time job. He works in concrete construction management, and most importantly, that's in a commercial setting. That's part of the bond condition because they didn't want any kind of employment that would be in a residential setting that would be around children. Not that I think there's a significant issue there. I think he's very low risk. And in fact, if you look at the PSR, there's a reference that if he's supervising the community, it should be in the low to moderate range of risk factors. His bond has been in place since August of 2020, almost 2 years, no bond violations whatsoever. It's for all of these reasons, Your Honor, that we're asking the court to grant a deferred adjudication. He has more than sufficient motivation to do everything as perfect as a human can do it, because he's looking at a true deportation. So I can't think of any greater motivation. He's taken responsibility for what he can, but not taking responsibility for that which is impossible. And I ask the court to grant a deferred in this case.
All right, Mr. Espinosa, is there anything you wish to say?
Que no quiero ir a la cárcel.
I don't want to go to jail.
All right,
Quiero seguir soportando a mi familia.
I want to keep providing for my family.
Me siento muy mal y que me perdonará el paso.
I feel very bad, and I want them to pardon me for whatever happened.
okay. All right, this is what the court is going to do. The court is going to find you guilty. The court is going to sentence you to 12 years in the prison, give you credit for any time served. There's a $1,500 fine, time and money to write concurrent, Chapter 62 compliance, and there's to be no contact with Genesis Paez. I'm going to show you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal. Did you have a chance to review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes.
Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. And also because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to consult with an attorney. My understanding there is victim impact.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. May, if you can have your mic just move to the side. Caroline. Yes.
When I was very young, I was groomed, assaulted, and sexually abused by my stepgrandfather for about 5 years. It has completely ruined my life in ways that I cannot describe. I have known about things that I shouldn't have known about at such a young age. I was paid copious amounts of money that I shouldn't have been given for the awful things that I went through. I have had multiple things shoved inside of me. I have been told that I would be good as a person who does sexual acts at the age of 10. I have not told anyone. I was groomed into believing that no one could help me, that the state and that the court wouldn't help me, that I shouldn't talk to anyone, not my mother, not my grandmother, not my father, no one, not even my teachers. This has led me to a point where I self-isolate from everyone else. I do not find people around me to be trusting due to this trauma. I have wanted to commit suicide multiple times because of this, one of them leading to a hospitalization back in July of last year. I have had many issues with self-harm in different ways, and I have had self-deprecating thoughts basically ever since this trauma had happened. I have been terrified of this very moment for nearly 2 years. I honestly thought that I was going to die when I had confessed about the sexual abuse. All I could do was cry in my mom's arms and just let it out, and even then it didn't help anything. I had told people that I barely knew at school as friends before I told my parents, before I told anybody.
I have been bullied, and ever since then I have been slightly sexually assaulted some other times. But I don't know who any of these people are. I have been trained to think that sexual assault and sexual abuse is okay based on my young brain being taught that sexual abuse is okay by a defendant when I was very young. I was barely developing at this time, and I can't help when my body starts developing. But the defendant himself could have very much started when I was much younger or much older. He couldn't have done it at all, but he did it anyways. He has ruined my mind and put it in a petrified state of where I think that the most disgusting acts known to mankind can be okay. I have had family who have gone to prison before. I know what it's like, and I'm so sorry to the family on the defendant's side, considering that we are also related. I hope you can forgive me because I still feel as if this is my fault. My grades have plummeted. My self-love has plummeted. My weight has gone up. I have developed small eating disorders over the time of this abuse. I don't know right from wrong most of the time, and I can't stand the thought of anyone else possibly being hurt by the defendant, which is why I'm here today, to testify and try and bring awareness to the situation so no one has to experience what I experienced for these past 5 years of my life. I shouldn't have to go what I've gone through. It is a lot for me to handle. I don't trust men. I don't trust anyone touching my body, even close friends and family members. My relationship with my father has been ruined. My relationship with my close inner family on my mom's side is a work in progress, and my inner family within my dad's side is non-existent. I haven't seen my cousins on my dad's side within 2 years, and it has been awful just due to the amount of how much love I have for these people and how much love I had for the person that had abused me for so long. And no matter what, he still heard me. I told him multiple times that it was wrong after learning. And it wasn't until I finally felt that I was safe during the COVID pandemic that I finally came out. And even then, I was still terrified. I still have nightmares to this day of it happening again. And I don't want to live through that anymore. I would just appreciate it if this man would no longer be in contact with me or anywhere near me. Bad things happen, and I knew about that from such a young age. However, I never thought that these would happen to me.